All right. Okay, so this is the Oz report for the 27th of June 2021. And let's start with that topic that I was talking about earlier, that the strategic cruisers, they have been buffed, so to speak, or they are getting their SP loss removed, which is a very odd concept, but that's not what I want to talk about. And so what I said earlier is I myself invested a lot in ancient salvage materials because that is what's used to make these, because the actual price of the T3Cs was way too high to profit from it. It was already basically a market that is gone. So if you're wondering for future for future reference, which ones are they? Well, we have neurovisual input matrix. I said that earlier. That is one of the biggest inputs there. I think it's also, let's see, if they're not ordered, this is way more difficult. But if you look at the actual input, let's see, carbon 86. Yeah, it's carbon 86 also. That's one of the big ones that goes into T3Cs. If you look at that pricing, it was way down and has spiked up because of that announcement. And also C3 FTM acid is another one that is used in strategic cruiser manufacturing. So this is not a call for investing. I explained that earlier as well. This is not a call where I say go invest in it, but learn from the effects that an announcement like that has on the market. So don't look at the actual prices, look at the components. Let's also look at crystalline isogen and 0-point condensate again, because as I said last week, they dropped down a ton. Right after the industry changes, they dropped down a ton. I said this last week. I said this is a good investment, right? Because they're going to slowly creep up, and they are slowly creeping back up, and I'm going to stick with it. These are a very good investment. Crystalline isogen 10 has already started rising, and 0-point condensate will as well. So I do think that they are very good investments. If you look at the trade tool, as I mentioned last time, my new trade tool, if you look at abyssal filaments, abyssal materials overall, that's right here. They are right now trading at 69% of the yearly average. The volume is at 90% of yearly average, and the availability is only 2.2. That means still there's only 2.2 trade days left in the market, right? For an item that is trading this cheaply, that is not a lot. That means people are still buying them up. Now, it could be 50% investors, it could be 50% producers. You don't know that, but still, I am willing to take that challenge because the payoff could be very, very big. So I think abyssal materials are a really good investment right now. If you look at it on the graph, it's way on the bottom left, so it's cheap right now and it's not available. So I'm sticking by it this week. This is a good investment, and it has returned already quite a bit since the last Oz report as well. Let's look at the Enforcer. I'm just going down the list. The Enforcer, I actually have not looked at the patch notes in detail. I was holding the Enforcer anyway, right? I was just buying it just because it was cheap. Now apparently there was a buff. I didn't even check what it was, but it went up. Just be aware that that the Enforcer price has increased. So this is not a good investment anymore. So if you the Voltron buff, yeah, thanks, Caleb. If you were watching previous show and you were listening to me saying that the Enforcer is a good investment, this is not anymore. At these prices, I am selling again, and I've probably already probably already started liquidating here. You can actually look at my enforcer trading history. Yeah, so I've been selling. I sold one at 500 million. And that is because, you know, I've been buying around 400 and now selling at 500. To me is already a good investment. So yeah. Enhanced ward console, right? So for that, I'm going to pull up my trade tool again, because if we look at salvage materials here, overall, let's go down here into salvage materials. This list right here is sorted by the largest salvage material markets. So you can go down the list. Intact armor plates at top, you know, currently 25 billion market for the year, a 31 billion a day market. Enhanced ward console is right on number 2, right behind it, right? Right now it's trading at 85% of yearly average. And the volume is down and the availability is actually not that much. So here as well, there's only 2 trade days or 2.2 trade days out there left in the market, and that is not a lot. That means the velocity that this is trading at is very, very high, and that typically means that these goods are prone to be bought out and for the prices to spike. So since it's trading very low and the availability is not too high, I am betting a lot of money on these, especially because this is a very, very large market, which means it's very liquid. It's a market where the orange dots are nicely spread out. That means there's buy and sell action pretty much every day. And so anytime I have something like this, I'm going to build up my long position. You know, not because there's any specific thing happening, but because the chance of this market turning around, because it's right now it's not very popular for various reasons, right? Because you know, production overall is down, because certainly structure rig production was down. There's a lot of reasons for the salvage good being down, but that is the market where everyone is selling, nobody is buying, and that is where I like to jump in and basically getting into that position for future profits. Inherent implants, noble hull upgrades. I pulled this one out just because it was trading very low, and I built a long position in it. It's a $500 million implant, so it's quite expensive, but it's recently started rising again. It's for the longest time it was trading at about $500 million, and right now you can still buy it for 370 billion. So you know, this is just a regular old opportunity that I wanted to share. I mentioned large skill injectors already earlier in the stream. Skill injectors, I want to just mention them because they are very, very cheap right now. I don't think, right? And if you want the long explanation, you can just look at the replay of the stream, but they are way oversupplied right now in the market. Because skill farming is not profitable right now, and CCP has been pushing too many skill points into the game. So there isn't a lot of demand for these left. They're still very much trading at a high volume, but that's because, you know, this has always been the second or third largest market in EVE, just because they're very valuable. But compared to the yearly average, the price is very low and the volume is very low. And so you might think this is a fantastic opportunity to jump in. And yeah, it might be, but I just don't think it's going to make big jumps in the next weeks or month, because most skill farms are going to keep producing them and they're not going to be able to sell them at a profit, so they're probably stockpiling it. So as soon as this price recovered, they're going to be dumping it back into the market, controlling that price. So I don't think that's what's going to happen. Then I want to mention crystal implants. The reason I want to mention them is because I think I've been telling you guys for months and months on end to buy these because they were over farmed. They were so cheap because the LP needed for these was way over farmed, and they've been coming back. You know, it's not, the volume hasn't really changed, but the price has been coming back. And so I've been making a lot of money on these. And if you look at the actual item itself, this actually has a good margin on it, right? So you have a 15 to 20% inherent margin on these on an item that is a very large market. So this is actually a market that, that turns around billions every day. And it's a market where buy and sell orders are happening. So these orange dots are very well spread out. It's a very good trade item with a spread of 15 to 20%. Check any of these out. They've just been a huge money maker for me. Get in on that. Make sure you're not late to the party. Make sure, especially if you're looking at after my stream comes out and a lot of people start buying this, this can sometimes have an effect. So be mindful, or maybe use what you can see from these and apply it to other goods. But this is a classic case with all of the crystal implants of something being over farmed, right? There's way too much in the market. I mean, people were reaching out to me and offering these in bulk, and I've bought a ton of these in bulk in the past because they were just so over farmed and people didn't even want to sell them on the market. And at some point they don't become profitable to trade in anymore, or other items are more profitable to trade in for that LP or whatever the currency might be for that item, and people will stop turning them in or stop producing them, and that is when they will come back. So you just have to have that stamina in the market to kind of see that to see that out. Next, Morphite. The reason I want to talk about Morphite, and I don't know why my camera is going blurry all the time, but that there we go. The Morphite, the Morphite problem is or the reason I wanted to mention Morphite is because I specifically mentioned it last week as well, where I said I don't think the Morphite rally is over. Okay, the reason I don't think the Morphite rally is over is very clear. So if you look at minerals on in my new tool, right? You can see that Morphite right here, it's trading at 178% versus the yearly average, right? Huge, right? Volume is up, the price is even up compared to last week. Volume is down just like all minerals are, but the availability in the market is 0.4, right? So there's only 40% of one trade day left in sell orders in the market. So it's just gone. There is no Morphite. And at this price, anyone that would have had a stockpile would have already sold it, right? So Morphite is very, very rare right now, and you need it for so many things. And so I don't think that rally is over. Just be careful to not get burned because the price is already extremely high. I think once it starts dropping, it's going to be it's going to drop very, very quickly. It's Caleb is saying he's sure that there are stockpiles, and yes, there are stockpiles, but not by investors, right? Not by I think not by people that are actively investing right now. I think a lot of people most people that do have Morphite stockpiles probably have them for strategic reasons, for their alliance, right? To make sure that production keeps running and all of that. I think less for investment purposes. Of course, somebody's going to, but I just feel like, as a trader myself, I would think you've got to sell it at some point, right? But yeah. What else do we have on the list, we've talked about that. Occult L, this one's strange. So I just want to mention this because Occult L has been in crazy. This is Triglavian ammo, by the way. It has been so crazy profitable to make because basically this is made out of Abyssal materials. I told you earlier, Abyssal's materials have crashed, right? So this should be very, very cheap to make. And you can see that it did crash in price, but then the demand right now is so high for it that it always spikes back up intermittently. So what you're seeing is it spikes back up, and so all of a sudden you have the old price with the new material price, and the margin on this intermittently goes up to about 100%, and this keeps happening. So I don't know why this is happening, but Occult L is an incredibly hot trade item right now. You can see how wide this Donchian channel is right here. That's the margin between where trades are happening on the buy and the sell side, right? So just craziness. You know, that wouldn't matter if the volume wasn't high, but Occult L has a good over 1 billion daily trades, so it's actually a fun item to trade in. Platinum I'm going to skip. Plex also, as I said earlier, Plex is still rising, going up. It's interesting to see if we can hit the previous high levels. I'm going to start selling Plex, actually. I'm probably not going to hold on to it. I can say that without ruining the markets, because the Plex markets are actually big enough for me not to have an impact on those. I mentioned last week that if you want to profit, if you want to double down on that Abyssal material low price, then you can also invest in items that come out of that material, and that is, for example, the entropic disintegrators of various types. And the super tidal entropic disintegrator is one that actually was starting to increase nicely in price. It spiked. So I'm seeing early signs of that market turning around. So products of Abyssal material turning around and Abyssal material themselves. So again, I think it's a hot time to enter that market. I think it's really good. Technetium and Thulium, not going to spend a lot of time on that. Those are just two types of moon goo that are currently trading very, very low. So they are kind of cyclical. They go up and down. You can see on the Thulium and Technetium, you can see that they are quite cyclical. They're approaching 52-week lows. So for me, that's always a buying sign. Because there's no real reason for moon goo to drop below 52-week lows. At least none that I see. Educate me if you do. Ukomi's superconductors, one of those PI goods that are oversupplied and currently trading very low. They spike nicely, so good investment. And 0-point condensate, we talked about Abyssal material. All right, that's the Oz report for June 27th. And we're gonna go back to regular streaming, and I'm gonna upload this to the podcast and to the YouTube channel if you want to hear that again.